Hello, I am the Jordan, your coach of the Virginia Vikavolt. Welcome back to the SPS Talonflame Power Rankings. I say welcome back if you've seen the first half, where I analyzed the first 8 teams of our league. You can watch that before this, you can watch that after this. It's all VGC Draft League analytical content. I'm going to jump right in. I'm not going to go over the scoring system again. Just know that we're going to be talking about holistically how I think this team will work together as a whole rather than just individual good and bad things. As much as I can anyway. So hopefully this is useful to experienced draft players, of which the entire league is one, and newer draft players alike. So, the first of our top 8 teams is Robin's team. I underestimated Robin's team last season. Both seasons there are mons that I don't use a lot and don't terribly understand, that I find unfun to work with sometimes. But Robin enjoys his role as the heel. He leans into it, and he's down to stall you out with an Amoonguss or a Suicune. There's a ton of defense on this team. Both these two, as well as Bronzong's very tough to get through. Wigglytuff and Turtonator are very defensively oriented. With Intimidate cycling, you can really grind a lot of games down to a halt. And that's going to be good for Robin. I feel like he has a lot of ways to win when the game gets longer. He has fast mode options, which is good as well. So he's not just defensively oriented. Weavile's strong, Thundee is strong, Terrakion is strong. And then there's this beat up justified combination. Terrakion can get triple attack on turn 1 when activated, and it has a triple attack Rock Slide, which is very, very threatening and can clear entire teams. So that is a good fast mode aggressive option, though the fast mode is a lot frailer than the slow mode, which is partially by Pokemon's design, but I feel like you could just Rock Slide through most of the fast end. He only resists Terrakion, and you can probably, like, if you can get like one lucky flinch, you can clear it with the partner Pokemon. So, like, not super reliable in the fast mode. Weavile mostly goes down to one hit without a Focus Sash, and Thundee, that can be the case too sometimes. So, at least you have the aggressive option. You know, if you don't have the option, then the opponent can plan very differently, but they need to respect both options. The weaknesses shared among important mons is the other main concern I have, which puts this outside of the real, very top. The triple shared weaknesses here, I think that's by design. Terrakion's got a ton of weaknesses, but it's hopefully never gonna have to care about them because it's killed you first. But a fair amount of steel weaknesses, a fair amount of ice weaknesses, and so it seems, and rock weaknesses I had mentioned. So it seems like there's kind of a standard playbook to try to take down this team, but a lot of the time, Robin's going to succeed in slowing the game down, getting to engage his really, really strong support core of Suicune and Amoonguss, and maybe Bronzong, maybe Turtonator, and Morgrem with the Prankster screen. So he's got most of everything you would want. This is a very good draft squad made by a very good player. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see if my concerns don't prove to be concerns and Robin ends up clearing a lot of teams with no issues. Let's see. 7th, I have me. I'm not going to dig into my team's weaknesses, because why would I do that? But I will talk a little bit about what I was going for with this team. This is my most extreme experimental draft squad ever. I feel like against these fantastic players, I need to mix it up a little bit, just can't go with consistency. So Stakataka. Stakataka was my first pick, and it is an extreme Pokemon. I think it has the single highest defense stat in the entire game, 211. Yikes. It carries with it some extreme weaknesses. It's got some, I think that's good design, right? Extreme strength, extreme weaknesses. So a double weakness to fighting, a double weakness to ground. But I think I've covered that very well. Only one other ground weakness in Raikou, and triple ground immunity, including my Redirector. So I feel throwing out ground moves towards Stakataka is inherently risky. With the 3 immunities and the strong resist in Gourgeist, and throwing out fighting moves inherently risky. I've got 4 resists and 2 immunities in my double ghost, so very dangerous to attack Stakataka. I can just put it there and then I can switch it out. I'm going to have to pivot effectively to use my team to the fullest. There's a little bit of typing synergy issues here. I think Ice is pretty effective into my team, hitting both my main Dragon Sweeper and my Togetic. hard, as well as Gourgeist. So I'm going to need to use Stakataka as the pivot point to take those ice moves. And Centiscorch. Centiscorch I feel like has a lot of potential. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to use it, but it has a ton of potential. Let's put it that way, and it can resist the ice moves. So yeah, we have the most extreme Trick Room, super slow, super strong, super bulky mon. We have the most durable redirector in the entire game, or the highest defenses in Togetic. We have one of the fastest Pokemon and strongest Pokemon and frailest Pokemon in the entire game in Pheromosa. So that highlights my fast mode. It can provide its own speed control as well. We have 3 Trick Room setters in Stakataka, Gourgeist, and Meowstic. We have one of the most versatile Prankster priority Pokemon in the entire game with Meowstic. A ton of options, you never know what it's going to be bringing. And then we have just assorted options that I feel like people maybe don't understand exactly what I'm planning, and I want to keep it that way. I will say that this team is not as obviously polished and proven as some other Draft League squads, so I can't rank it any higher than this, and nor do I want to, but I think it has a lot of X factor. It has a lot of potential to be explosive, to win in different ways, and I'm excited to hopefully make that happen. Let's jump to number 6, the London Aces, coached by AC. This is a rain team. This is a rain team before it is anything else. It has 4 water types, so it's a rain team. It's got Swift Swim to get double speed in rain. It's got the mon that is only weak to fire, so that fire weakness is negated in rain. It has another Swift Swimmer that also provides Tailwind, so you can just pretty much guaranteed to win the fast mode matchup, and considering how slow Escavalier is at 20, you often win the Trick Room matchup. So this team has the best speed control, I think, of any of the league, and so I put it at 5 stars in speed control. You're going to win in fast mode with double Tailwind, with Swift Swim, with Icy Winds throughout, because you have all these water types. Let's see some Icy Winds. Yeah, 5 Icy Winders. In addition to things like Fake Out, there's I think 2 Fake Outs in Ludicolo and Toxicroak, so you've got a ton of control of the game from the fast end. You've got a Prankster in Thundurus, a ton of immediate threatening options, and a ton of overall team synergy. You know, when you have Rain up, then all of these mons can fire water moves, almost regardless of the typing situation. You can fire a water move into a grass type. Doesn't even matter, because you're getting that 50% boost due to the weather. I will say this team is really cohesive and unified in its purpose, though it doesn't cover all of its inherent weaknesses when it's going all in one direction. So I don't see a Lightning Rod mon. I see these big electric weaknesses that are not really covered by anything except for Runerigus, the ground Pokemon, which a lot of this team wants to play in fast mode, and so you have to bring Runerigus to deal with the lightning, so it's a slow mon. It's a little bit tricky. I feel like Runerigus is a very important part of this team, as it is one of the only things that resist electric, and also one of the only things that resist rock, the other main team weakness. So pivoting with Runerigus, setting Trick Room, having that threat to go either slow or fast, that's going to be important. You also have the discharge option that Runerigus is immune to. I think Thundurus gets discharge. So yeah, the rock protection, the electric protection, that places a ton of pressure on Runerigus to protect the mons that are otherwise oriented all on the rain mode. Even Toxicroak, Dry Skin loves the rain. Araquanid is really just super strong water moves, so it loves the rain. There is some ability to play outside of rain here. It's difficult to rank a team that is as focused or apparently focused on one kind of win condition. But I think it has alternatives for when they can't control the weather. Like Drapion's pretty solid overall. I think Toxicroak without Dry Skin can do just fine in any weather. Luxray Intimidate can control the game a little bit. So this is a good team. This is a very good team, I would say. If we can add a Lightning Rod, if we can add a little bit more active rock protection, rock coverage, things like Rock Slide. Do we have Wide Guard? I would be a little happier if we did. We have triple Wide Guard. Okay. Criticism somewhat rescinded. So now you have to just worry about Stone Edges, I guess, or Rock Blasts. But this is a exciting team. We'll see how Rain does this time around. Angel and the American Warelords are our number 5 team. we know that this team works because Angel used 5 of the 9 same Pokemon last season and won. So a little lame, in my opinion, but Angel goes with what's proven, goes with the mons that she likes personally, and that's as valid a strategy as any other. These are great Pokemon. This is the only squad with only 9. You can go from 9 to 11. And I think that that's part of why I think this team is not necessarily better than last season. It has Primarina instead of Suicune, and Primarina is amazing, so it's a great addition, a great change up to the team. They have Crocodile as a pretty good addition, though I'm a little concerned with all the weaknesses it shares with the other mons in the area, Ice, Bug, Fairy. Crocodile has a lot of weaknesses, and so maybe you'd have to use it as like Intimidate, Pivot more often. Butterfree is the other kind of big inclusion. Butterfree dies to a Stiff Breeze, but it does have a Focus Sash, and it has I think it's the only mon that can threaten to put you to sleep, set Tailwind, or redirect attacks. And that is a Swiss Army knife that's really, really hard to predict. So you would think that those inclusions make this team better, and maybe it is overall, but the level of competition has also risen in this league. So I'd say I ranked Angel 4th last year and 5th this year, roughly the same area. My concerns have to do with a little bit of the limited roster with plenty of shared weaknesses. It's pretty easy to just bring the optimal coverage against this team. You just bring ice moves, even bug moves. You bring flying because it hits Rillaboom and Conkeldurr really hard, and also Butterfree. But the only flying resist is Heatran. Obviously, Heatran's super amazing, covers the entire team, and Jolteon. Jolteon I'm the least impressed with of these 9. I don't think it's adding too much. I mean, it's versatile. It does support moves, it does electric moves, and it's the flying resist that I imagine Angel was looking for. But you're gonna struggle to find a real use for Jolteon, and if it's not coming, then it's not being a flying resist. So a lot of pressure on Heatran, just like last season, where it covers as the only fairy resist, as one of the only ice resists, as one of the only flying resists. So you need to keep Heatran alive. This is a non-Dynamax league, so it might be easier to pivot around Heatran. You're not going to ever Dynamax it. So you're going to be able to swap it in and out and take these attacks. But it just all depends on how well Angel can play. We know Angel can play very well, but if teams are really ready for this, and they're bringing the ghost moves to deal with both of the speed controllers, if they're bringing the flying moves, if they're bringing the bug and ice moves, then there's just going to be a lot of pressure on this team, and it'll definitely rely on solid play to keep getting the wins. Best of luck, Angel. Number 4, the Overdrive Pignites, coached by Haider Ali. Haider has a really exciting team with really consistently strong defenses. This is the team with 5 stars in defense. I think they have great offense, so it's not really struggling in that regard, unlike some of the teams I ranked in the first half, which I think were either defensive or offensive. Zapdos and Garchomp can do plenty of damage. Garchomp can boost up with Swords Dance. Milotic can do offense when it gets intimidated and gets that double attack via competitive. But you would think if he's so strong in the offense, then he wouldn't be defensive, but all of these mods, attackers and defenders, all have plenty of survivability. Persian has this double defense, super sick ability in Fur Coat. Hitmontop, especially with Intimidate and Fake Out, controls games, really slows them down, and helps you do whatever you want to do. Volcarona is pretty good redirection. I'm not a huge fan because Rock Slide exists and is in the game and is learned by 300 Pokemon, but it could be another offensive option. Haider's coming from singles, and they use Volcarona, I think, in singles a lot offensively. So we could see some new threatening capabilities from Volcarona. I'm basically impressed with every single mon on this team. Obviously, Gothorito was the 1 point, fill out the team when you had 1 point left. But even that has a role to play potentially. The only mon I'm a little bit concerned about is Gardevoir. It's a little frail. It's as the only Trick Room setter, I think. Let's confirm that. No, we have Gothita, but the same issue applies. They're both going to be frail. So you're not going to set Trick Room, but this team is ultimately not a Trick Room team. This team doesn't really want Trick Room. Snorlax is good. It's definitely better to have one Trick Room answer than none, but there are some things that are going to be able to set Trick Room and then beat Snorlax. A close combat and Snorlax is hurting. So this team really doesn't want Trick Room. Let's see how good it is at stopping Trick Room. It has Fake Out, at least from Persian. Let's see. 3 Fake Outs. Okay, that's very good. So how do we be a Ghost type? Do we have taunts? We have some taunts. It's from the exact same places that are already doing the Trick Room defense. So you only need either one of, undo Trick Room or taunt them so they can't set Trick Room. So it's a little bit weak to taunt, or it's a little bit limited in its taunting capabilities. The one thing, you just assume you have a lot of taunters, and then my last league, I just had Rillaboom and Mandibuzz, so I'm like, okay, I guess I need to not run Choice Band Rillaboom. I guess I need this guy to taunt things. So this team's only real weakness seems to be Trick Room, and then just teams that can outpace them. There are faster, more aggressive, hyper offense teams, and Garchomp has a double weakness. Milotis isn't too scary without the competitive boost. I guess it can coil and recover and play the defense game. But a fair amount of these mons can go down to the right hit. Rock, flying, fighting. This is a really good team. I don't even need to delve into a lot of weaknesses, but that's the only thing that I would be concerned about is whether some of these lower tier mons are going to see a lot of play, or whether, and if not, if something can be brought to consistently beat all 5 of these, then this team will struggle. But otherwise, great team, Hater. Excited to have you in the league. Number 3, we have Sean and the Norwalk Nose Pass. This team has been polarizing in terms of how people have been ranking it. I'm really excited about it. I think it's a very, very threatening team. It has the best speed, the best natural speed in the game with super fast Dragapult, very fast Koko, Salazzle, the highest average speed stat in the game. It doesn't have the most speed control. It has Electrowebs from Koko, Bulldoze is for Mamoswine that a couple of these guys are immune to. I guess just Celesteela, is that right? Any Clear Body or something? Well, we can always Protect in Bulldoze. Or Telepathy Bulldoze, double Telepathy Bulldoze. I think I just realized this now, that there's a potential telepathy synergies here. But what I see from this team is one of the scariest fast offensive options, or the most fast offensive options. It's just unpredictable what Dragapult and Koko and Mamoswine and an offensive Celesteela can do. And Hitmonlee with the double speed when its item is triggered, and then 2 terrain setters that can trigger one of Hitmonlee's items and just make it double speed. That's a really, really nice capstone to the fast mode. Hitmonlee, I think, will be effective here. It's not going to be able to Fake Out next to Tapu Lele. That's a little tricky because it sets psychic terrain. But next to Koko can do that, and it can coach up Koko because it can run physical offense sometimes. It can coach up Mamoswine. It could proc a weakness policy on Mamoswine if you wanted to just do one devastating attack. I think the lower end of this team is significantly worse than the higher end of this team, but I'm so scared of the higher end of this team that vaulted it into number 3. I'd say the versatility of these attackers is what protects it from some of these type weaknesses. The only rock weakness being, or ghost weakness being Zoroark. Gonna be a little tricky, though it's not really correct to say that Dragapult loses to ghosts, right? Because ghosts are super effective against other ghosts, and so the faster one wins, and Dragapult's super fast. The same thing saying that my main net weakness is ghost, but does Haunter really lose to ghosts? Because it's a fast ghost, so I don't think it really does. Back to number 3. This team has some other weaknesses. I think you can safely bring flying moves. You can safely bring ghost moves and fighting or fire moves as well. How does this team beat Trick Room? It doesn't, in short, but it does have this interesting option here. Wow, a triple telepathy. I think I figured out the secret strat here. A lot of moves that would hit the partner, like Discharge and Earthquake, plus 3 telepathy users. But Orbeetle has Trick Room and Imprison, so it can use Imprison and stop anyone else from setting Trick Room. It also wants to run Protect, so it can keep itself alive to stop Trick Room from happening. And then once Protect is imprisoned, the hyper offense can go off. They can't protect themselves, they can't change up the speeds. Orbeetle could be really effective. I think you need to bring an answer to Orbeetle, which is weird because it's not the top tiers here, but you do need an answer to Orbeetle to beat this team. I don't think you really need an answer to beat these three. Zoroark is occasionally here to do some mischief, but you mainly need to be worried about all the possible things that these fast, aggressive 7 Pokemon can do. Let's see this team. I got it week 1. I don't know how I'm going to prepare for it. Haven't built my team yet. Number 2, the second ranked team in this league is the Washington Walreins, coached by Piranha Plant. Piranha Plant is new to this league. I've seen them in some other leagues, but I know less. I've never actually seen their games except for the 2 they submitted with their application. So I don't know how they'll pilot this team, and there are some mons that I don't use as well here. So I'm a little bit not understanding it quite as well as some of the other teams, but I'm really afraid of it. I really think it's super effective. When people ran this format for tournaments, they found Urshifu plus Gothitelle is a pretty unbeatable combination, where Urshifu prevents you from protecting and Gothitelle prevents you from switching out. And so therefore, you can't protect, you can't switch, you just got to take the wicked blow, and not a lot of things can handle a automatic critical hit, super strong dark move from Urshifu. So it's a really good combination, and the combination of Urshifu, Goth, and Tapu Fini. Tapu Fini is one of the best all-round defensive mons ever. Extremely versatile, wonderful move pool for Draft League, and so I think that these two balance each other out really well. The fast mode power is very strong. So we have a priority Tailwind setter in Talonflame, so it can get Tailwind up almost all the time. Nihilego is very fast, very strong. Also dies to most physical attacks, a pretty extreme mon. But if you're going first, and you have a power or meteor beam, something's dying. If Urshifu is going first, something is often gonna be dead or close to it. And Gothitelle and Tangrowth and Kangaskhan and Tapu Fini are the defense that balance out that extreme offense. So yeah, I'm just generally really impressed with the diversity of mons here. I think this team could be run a lot of different ways, and it's not exactly clear when you look at it all the ways it could be run. Purloin, another wonderful pick, because these low-tier prankster mons, we're slowly raising them in their point cost, respecting all the things that they can do, but Purloin is still a value pick, and it can threaten to do a ton of things with priority. I'd say the Trick Room answers are a little bit limited. Trapinch has inexplicably 100 attack stat, but it's not gonna be like your overall Trick Room answer. Tangrowth has 50 speed. It's faster than most Trick Rooms, but can fight in it, and it doesn't really care whether Trick Room's happening or not when it's redirecting attacks. So this is like a mon that you're gonna have to bring a lot to balance out the glass cannons, and also be able to play in Trick Room as well. Yeah, so these mons are making a comeback. Aegislash I don't understand because it wasn't good in the Dynamax era, but it has a lot of promise on a non-Dynamax squad. And Gothitelle, lots of potential win cons here. I'm gonna really be excited to see how this team plays. It might be first seed, might be 8th seed. Well, honestly, it all depends on how well Piranha Plant pilots it, but you've made a great team. The number 1 ranked team, the best overall team. This is close. I think the first 4 teams are all in the S tier, but Radlup and the New York Hypno have cohesiveness and extreme strength beyond any team in the draft. This is a Sun team. This is a team that is many things, but it is a Sun team first, with Torkoal setting Sun, Charizard benefiting into the extreme degree with Sun boosted heat waves. How else we do in Sun? We have Chlorophyll, so Lilligant becomes super fast. This is a value core here, Lilycole, as we call it. Lilligant gets double speed in Sun, gives After You to make Torkoal go first, and then Torkoal goes from very slow to very fast and devastating with its eruptions in Sun. Can clear entire teams. So not only do we have the threat of extreme speed, which also comes from Cottonee. Cottonee has the more complicated version of Tailwind, but effectively priority double speed, and Regieleki is the fastest Pokemon in the game, can really get this team off to a fast start. But on the slow end, you do have Torkoal at 20 speed. That would be lovely in Trick Room, and a very good Trick Room setter in Oranguru. Oranguru might just be insane in this format, in non-Dynamax, because it has its signature move, Instruct, allowing a Pokemon to use the last move it used again. And so if you can set Trick Room, Torkoal erupts, everything loses half its health. Oranguru says again, and Torkoal erupts again, and everything dies. You can double Regieleki Electrowebs, you can double Charizard Heat Waves, you can double Swampert Bulldozes or Earthquakes, and Oranguru has telepathy, so it is immune to everyone hitting moves by its partner. So that's like really, really great combinations. Oranguru is going to be super strong. You need to have an answer to Oranguru if you're going to play this team. And what really brings this team over the top is not just the scary offense and speed control that I got to, but the defensive rounding out of this team. There are some great defensive backbones in Scrafty, in Clefable, in Swampert. So this team is not always in your face, and it is not always trying to crush you once Trick Room is up. It can just hang out with these three mons. It can manipulate the game state, it can redirect attacks, it can intimidate. Not a lot beat Swampert, and I think beating Swampert is an entirely separate task from beating the rest of the team. You need to just carry a grass move dedicated just for Swampert. And some teams might forget, and then Swampert just wins immediately. So a wonderful pick. I think it's really, really important to this overall team, because the only thing that could stop this team from becoming a top team, besides just, the inherent volatility of the game we play, is how does this team operate outside of Sun? AC's team has got hard rain. Every single mon on the whole team can set Rain Dance. So you're going to have to play outside of Sun. There are 2 sand teams. There are some Cloud 9 mons that remove the effect of weather. And there's not a lot of mons that, I guess besides these 3 defensive staples, that are as effective when Sun is not up. You're going to really need to lean on Swampert to beat sand modes, to beat water types, to beat ground types. The cohesiveness of this team makes me pay a little bit less attention to type synergy, because you can have a ground weakness, but you're getting overpowered even with the neutrally effective fire moves sometimes. But Swampert's really, really important, and if you can find a way to get rid of Swampert or have an answer to both Swampert and Sun, something that I think beats the majority of this team is Rotom Heat. So it's a fire Pokemon, so it benefits from the sun just as much as these guys, but it's not weak to ground, it's not weak to water in sun, and it just beats a lot of what Radlip's got going. So that's one potential answer, but Swampert is the counter to Rotom Heat, just like it's the counter to most things that you would bring against this team. So a really cohesive team, loves the sun, has enough answers outside of sun. I'm not sure exactly what Klinklang here is doing. Maybe it's part of the non-sun variant of this team, where you set Trick Room and then you Scrafty things down. Actually, not a lot of Trick Room on this team, just Torkoal. So it means you're not going to be able to set Trick Room for Torkoal without setting Sun. I guess you can bring White Smoke Torkoal. It's not as effective, but that could be kind of cool. I wonder if we have... Ooh, we got the Bulldoze strat. I just saw it. So Oranguru can attack, can trigger weakness policy on Klinklang. We need a Choice Scarf on Oranguru, and to make it go first. It bulldozes to hit Klinklang and everyone else super effectively. They drop their speed, and you do not, because you have Clear Body, so you don't get snap drops, and your weakness policy activates, so you're faster, and because your item is activated, if Oranguru has Symbiosis, its other super cool ability, then it can pass its item to the partner. Now you've got a weakness policy procced super fast with a Choice Scarf, or a Choice Band, or whatever. However you can get Oranguru over there. You can pass an item to Klinklang, and that could be pretty cool. Beating this team in the Sun mode of this team is very different than beating the Klinklang Oranguru combo. You could also potentially do the opposite with kind of setting Trick Room before going about this item passing strategy. But this team has a ton going for it. Very excited to see this team played. And I play you later in the season, Radlip, so watch out for me. Watch out for my Stack Attacka. Please don't bring Swappert against me. Thank you. We made it. All 8 teams analyzed. We did it in one take, so I'm sure I missed some things. Go ham in the comments. Tell me what I missed. Tell me why your team is super hype and why it should be number 1. Tell me about my team. This feedback can work both ways. I'm not sure if this wacky extreme team is going to work out or not, so we're both going to be figuring out together. I'm going to be doing weekly team builders and live commentaries, so I hope you stick around. That's it. SPS Talonflame, let's go.